The Joe Rogan Experience.
Did you see that lady on on 60 Minutes? They interviewed her. She's some new woman who works in the White House, and they asked her about obesity. She said the number one cause of obesity is genetics, and it doesn't matter what you do. Like you could be a person who has a perfect diet and exercises and sleeps right, and you're still obese. Mm-hmm. And the health experts went fucking nuts. Like that's not what the data shows. The data shows that most people who are obese have obese parents and they come from an obese family, but they're all doing the wrong thing. There's not like a person in that family that's eating grass-fed steak and running marathons and lifting weights and getting up at 6 a.m. and getting in a cold plunge and doing all these different things, but it's still fat as fuck.
Yeah.
And they're watching the calories in and calories out, and they're burning 1,000 calories a day in exercise, and they're still fat as fuck. That's not real. Like to say that and to say it on 60 Minutes, there's this weird thing going on where people want to say it's not your fault. And it isn't your fault. I mean, if you believe in determinism, if you believe in the impact of the people around you and the environment that you're in, which is most certainly real, the impact of your parents, the impact of modeling, you're modeling after other people's bad decision-making, that's all real. That's 100% real. But to say that all obesity is just genetic is bonkers. That's a bonkers thing to say, and it discredits all these people that we know that were obese that without surgery lost all that weight and looked great. Like Ethan Suplee. Perfect example. There was a guy that was at one point in time like 500 plus pounds, right? How big was Ethan was he at his biggest? But anyway, Jamie will find out, documented all of it, did it publicly because he was a fucking star. He's a famous actor, lost all the weight, and now looks great, and did it through exercise and discipline and even like was really open about the fact that he gained a lot of it back a couple times. He went from 550 to 255. He did that. Wow. He did that himself. I mean, he did it, and he documented it, and he had to go through surgery to get the skin removed so that his, he wasn't like a flying squirrel. But he did it. And to say that it's all genetic, like, no, he had the same genes. Like, this is the same guy. It's not.
And it's also not inspiring.
Yes.
So, like, to say that, but that's the tension. If you say it's all genetic or it's significantly genetic, then you're encouraging people to be more accepting of the challenges of other people's lives. Like, your life might be, everybody's walking a hard road is basically the philosophical thing. That you don't, just because it's easy for you to exercise doesn't mean it's easy for others to exercise.
Sort of. But aren't they also saying you don't even have to walk that road because it's not going to help you?
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very poor statement of that. It's a trade-off. I mean, it's a different philosophy. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Right.
It's a really inspiring, powerful, empowering philosophy. But it's like, well, sometimes it's harder.
You
than others.
You can't say that because different people have different. Some people don't even have fucking shoes. Yeah. Like the idea of pull yourself up by your bootstraps is stupid. And I did it. Why didn't you? No, you did it with your life. The idea that your life, because it was difficult, is exactly the same as somebody else's life, which may be more difficult or have insurmountable obstacles that are in the way. There's also like different temperaments, different mental fortitude that people are just, for whatever reason, from the womb have. Some people are just determined from the time they're really young, and some people are just not. Some people are discouraged easily, and some people are not. And I don't know why. Yeah. But to say that there's no way is crazy. To say there's no way is like, that's irresponsible. And it's also like to say that and just put it on 60 Minutes. Hey guys, that's not true. And you could talk to a lot of people that have lost weight and they'll tell you it's not true. It doesn't mean that the people who are obese didn't get a really bad hand genetically, a really bad hand in terms of the environment they grew up with. Yeah, they got dealt a bad hand. No doubt. It's not the same as someone who grows up in a house where everybody's skinny and the fucking whole family runs. Like, no, it's not going to be the same. Someone who's eating organic and the whole family like does a lot of exercise and does stuff together. Yeah, they're going to be thinner. Yeah. But it's like you can't lie. You can't lie, and you can't expect me to think that you're really an expert when you say things like that.
Yeah, but you also can't criticize Bill Gates by saying he has a soft body.
Of course you can.
Of course you're being a comedian, but
he does. And if he's talking about health, hey buddy, get your house in order first.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of incredible doctors that don't have their house in order.
That's true. But if you're giving health advice, one of the core components to health is your metabolic health, your overall metabolic
Pull
health.
up this story right out of the gate. They're talking about using that drug, that semaglutide stuff
Oh,
we've been
no.
talking about.
Is that what they're doing? So this is like an ad for semaglutide?
I'm not saying that, but that's what it seems like.
Oh,
Because
my
there's even like the whole thing
God.
about the shortages of it.
Oh no.
So
But you know, I think Huberman was discussing this. He might have been discussing this with Peter Attia, and they were discussing that semaglutide doesn't just make you lose fat, but also makes you lose muscle in many cases. And that's probably because you're not taking in enough food, right? Because what it's doing is I'm just guessing. There might be some other mechanisms involved, obviously. But if you're like full quicker, which is the idea behind this stuff, it's almost like you're taking an injection that does the same thing as like a belly band. If you're not eating enough food and you're losing fat that quickly, you might be losing muscle too. Like, because when people go on like binge diets, they starve themselves, they lose muscle. Like when guys lose weight for fights and they get down to a very minimalistic, very minimal calorie input, they lose muscle too. Like when someone cuts themselves down from like 205 and fights at 170, 100% they're going to lose some muscle too.
Yeah, but there's interesting. So for fighting is different, but there's if you're doing it in a healthy way, for your own personal life, there might be some strength training combined. I mean, that's a really interesting dynamics, right? How do you lose weight while maintaining muscle mass?
Well, it depends on how many calories you're burning. Much of the weight loss resulting from GLP-1 agonists is the loss of muscle, bone mass, and other lean tissue rather than body fat. Holy shit.
It's dark.
For example, a 2021, but at least you look good.